Soviet submarines might be lurking. And the Safari Endeavor is a cruise ship. A company called Uncruise, which as the name suggests, is a different kind of cruise line. They go to small places in Alaska, Hawaii, and Mexico that the large cruise lines don't go to. We're coming up on one of the really interesting things about living in Seattle, and that's the floating home communities. There's hundreds of these floating homes here in Lake Union and in Portage Bay, which is adjacent to us. And they've been here, floating homes have been here pretty much as long as people have been living around Lake Union. All the way back to the beginning of the settlement of the area, there were sawmills here on Lake Union. Now, sawmills are, it's a good idea to locate your sawmill on a lake because logs are really heavy, but they float. So you can manage your inventory of logs out of the water. There would be these enormous rafts of logs, thousands and thousands of logs waiting to go into the sawmill. You know, sometimes those logs get cut loose one way or another, and if a guy can come up with a dozen or so of those logs, you can build a platform on top, and build a house on that and have a cheap place to live. Now, these places now are not cheap, but for the most part, they're built on the same log. boats here because the cruising grounds are so good here. You can cruise all the way to Alaska, almost entirely inland. Beautiful cruising grounds up in British Columbia. And they did. They started down at First Avenue and started eroding the hill with water cannons. They'd wash the water down through sluices down to the waterfront, send it in pipes out into the middle of Elliott Bay. Or actually not the middle, just really not very far offshore. And they dumped the mud down there. Well, Elliott Bay is very deep. It's 100, 200 feet deep. But you know, you keep dumping mud in the same place, you're going to have a problem, and they did. The mound of water underwater got so tall that it became a hazard to navigation, and they had to cut it down.